UFC Seattle. This is the weigh-in recap show, full card predictions, and the betting breakdown. I'm looking forward to talking about each of the matchups on this card after seeing the fighters on the scales. So make sure you guys smash the like button if you're new, subscribe, turn the post notifications on, and make sure you share the video too. And also note, I will be live for the entire UFC Seattle fight card Saturday, 6 p.m. Eastern time. Don't miss the fight companion, and I want to get into the fights right away. So let's start it off. Fight number one, Modestas Bukauskas versus Rafael Cerqueira. Throughout the week, I've been picking Modestas Bukauskas. I like his higher rate of, quality opposition throughout his career. He also has a decent pressure-based game, little bit of punching power, some solid grappling. Choked out Marcin Prachnio with the arm triangle last time and had good success in the striking, but granted got caught with a really nasty kick from Prachnio, who has that traditionalist karate-esque background. Cerqueira is a weird case. He's got a Brazilian Muay Thai kickboxing style, but his record is a complete fraud. Like the guys he fought outside of the UFC over the past year and a half, low level. There's even fights like he's inside of malls in Brazil fighting guys that are fat and not taking fighting serious. He debuted against Ibo Aslan and he got absolutely destroyed in 55 seconds. And I really have no expectation of quality with him. It would be more of a surprise to see him go out, be calculated, perform, and beat a decent enough guy like Modestas Bukauskas. I think Bukauskas is okay. He's not high caliber, and I don't see him ever mixing it up with the elite in the UFC. But look at his last 4 UFC fights. 3-1. Decision over Pedro. Pauga has a win over Prachnio by sub. Petrino badly starched him. But at the time, Vitor Petrino was undefeated, had a lot of hype, and regardless of his recent losses, still has legit knockout power. I question Cerqueira's gas tank, his durability, his heart. There's a lot of things that I just put a massive question mark around Cerqueira's face. If I could draw one in, I would. I think that Modestas Bukauskas absolutely handles business here, and I'm going to favor him. Though, his skill set is to be questioned. It's fair to question it. You can see Cerqueira looking actually in relatively good shape, but he looked in good shape last time. He looked confident last time. And against Ibo Aslan, he was broken in 55 seconds and had no idea how to defend himself from the pressure attack. Let's scroll down a little more. Modestas Bukauskas looks in quality shape as well. The Philippians 413, the John Jones style tattoo. I respect. Listen, amen to. You can do all things through Christ. So I expect Modestas Bukauskas to have good amount of heart and drive to win. I feel like his pressure could be too much for Cerqueira. The biggest positive on Cerqueira is he's taller and he trains alongside Jailton Almeida. You can see a picture here from the weigh-ins. I don't really love the pictures that we got from the weigh-ins, so I'm actually going to bring up the ceremonial weigh-ins. There's a picture I have here from them that I got from the internet that exists out. There's the face-off. It was good, quality, intensity, looking, side to side at one another. I feel as though Cerqueira handles business. And no, I don't think that's a staph infection. I am Mr. Staph Experts, but no, I think that's a little bit of a bruise on the right arm of Modestas. If he somehow has staph, bro, then every card is plagued with staph at this rate. Yeah, I feel like he can handle Cerqueira. I don't know. I get fake tough guy vibes. Not fake tough guy. That's the wrong way to put it. But I don't know. I just don't see Cerqueira as actually being all that good. Bukauskas, say what you want about his early UFC run and losses. The guy has gone tooth and nail with decent opposition, whereas Cerqueira is just looking to build his record against bums in Brazil. Cerqueira is a huge underdog at plus 220 with Bukauskas as a minus 260 favorite. I'm going to favor Bukauskas with the pick. As far as chasing a bet on this fight, I don't love it because Bukauskas ultimately is not the most talented, but he's gritty. Over 1.5 could be live at minus 140. It really depends on Cerqueira's abilities. If he's hurt or taken down, I don't know how he's going to look. Bukauskas inside a distance, minus 120. The odds aren't good enough to suggest a play, but I do think this fight is live to end inside a distance. I think Bukauskas could lock up a finish. But decision's not crazy at plus 300. I don't know. Something's telling me over 1.5 at minus 140 might be the money play here. Cerqueira doesn't seem to have crazy power early. Bukauskas relatively durable, but also really doesn't have much punching power. Neither guy is reaching the top 15, more of the lower caliber light heavyweights on display to start the card off. I'll go with higher level experience and consistent performances from Modestas Bukauskas and some relative rate of improvement. Also, the younger guy like Cerqueira, nearly 35. And, this is his second UFC fight, whereas Bukauskas was on the roster. He got released. He worked his way back to the UFC. He's only 31. I'm going to say that that's a more viable factor and a positivity. So give me Bukauskas to handle the fraud in Rafael Cerqueira. Let's keep running. Next fight, Nursultan Ruziboev, Eric McConico. Listen, I think Nursultan Ruziboev's striking is a difference maker. That's why I've been picking him all week. Eric McConico is dog tough. He does like to close the distance and bang in close range. Pretty tough in the pocket. Does have a win over ex-UFC fighter Maki Pitolo over a year ago. It was a good back and forth fight. Ultimately, though, it was a back and forth fight with a complete UFC washout. Nursultan Ruziboev is a relatively high jump in competition for Eric McConico. He's at MMA Lab, which I guess can be viewed as a positive. He's been in the corner of Jared Cannonier multiple times. But ultimately, I think Nursultan Ruziboev can clap him on the feet. He's more precise with his hands. He has clean knockout power. The big worry with Ruziboev tends to be his lackluster takedown defense. But I don't know. Ruziboev looks better at 85. Like, he lost at 170 to Joaquin Buckley, but Buckley is a top contender now at 170. And I think Ruziboev cuts way too much weight to get to 185, or excuse me, to get to 170. He's 6'5". I want to look at the scales. I want to talk about the scales because Ruziboev and, McConico, both, in shape. McConico looks good. Tell me he doesn't look like a Jared Gooden and Khalil Roundtree mix with the ink. Like, I feel like we got Jared Gooden back fighting at a high level. McConico looking to make the debut, but what is he, a 34-year-old prospect? Yeah, he is. Nursultan Ruziboev, still relatively lean. It's hard to understand how this guy even made 170 pounds. He's done it numerous times. I don't get it. I genuinely don't understand how he makes 170 pounds. It doesn't seem healthy. I think he should stay at 85. His power translates better at 85. To be honest, I think his technique is superior to McConico's in striking. I think McConico's maybe going to look to pressure wrestle, but Ruziboev will give him more resistance than anticipated. I think Ruziboev finds the kill shot. He's got some pretty devastating power. He's a bit of a sniper striker from the outside. And I think at 185 pounds, his knockout power will be much more on display as opposed to what we saw when he was fighting at 170 against Buckley. Another note, McConico's southpaw, but that could leave him vulnerable to a straight right from Ruziboev, who does have a powerful straight. It's what he dropped Bruno Ferreira with. I actually predicted him to beat Bruno Ferreira as an underdog at the time. I think he was completely overlooked then. And I'm going to say that Nursultan Ruziboev is still a decent talent at 185. He's in his prime. UFC experience on his side. McConico, late start to the MMA run, late start to the UFC run, way less experience, and he's going to be, over 3 years older. I think Nursultan Ruziboev handles business here, and he's probably live for a knockout. He's sitting around minus 280, minus 270 as a favorite with a deserving tag. McConico around plus 240 as an underdog. Now, when I do some insightful digging, what do I find? Well, I do feel as though Ruziboev by KO is live, but plus 150 is not an amazing call, but he has knockout power. I mean, he's got a lot of finishes on his resume. If you look, 12 KO wins, does have 20 submissions. He's a bit disrespected by many in his wrestling ability, right? At least the thought process, but he's got good submissions. He's got really long limbs, big length advantage, big height advantage on McConico. Ruziboev sub is plus 250. Ultimately, Ruziboev money line is your best play. How do you do it? You have to parlay it. You really can't chase. I mean, you want to lay a chalky bet down at minus 270. You're more than welcome. I'm not telling you don't do it. It's up to you. Do your research. But at the end of the day, the odds are very wide, and this becomes more of a 2-3 leg parlay piece as opposed to trying to attack a money line or chase a prop in this one. I'll say Ruziboev does knock him out, though. That is going to be the official prediction. I think he can handle McConico and catch him with some big shots on the feet. I like Ruziboev's length. And even though he's only got a 1-inch reach advantage, he's 5 inches taller. Ruziboev has a very narrow frame. You can see when you look, right? This is a narrow frame. So I'm assuming he still has longer arms. He got the shaven armpits. That's interesting. Why shave the pits but not the chest? That's confusing, man. Ruziboev really on that, I don't know, man. Maybe he's a little bit metrosexual Ruziboev. Listen, whatever makes him happy. He wants to be fucking waxed and shaven for his flexes, bro. I'm going to say that Mr. No Armpit Hair, Nursultan Ruziboev, I didn't even notice that until just now. The freakishly tall middleweight handles the debuting Eric McConico and knocks him out. McConico's a tough customer, but I see him as nothing more than an up-and-coming journeyman. Ruziboev, a tad bit better than that. Next fight on the card, Austin Vanderford versus Nikolai Veretennikov. This is a late addition to the card. They made this actually after I had done my full card predictions. I picked Austin Vanderford during the late night live. I do believe Vanderford's wrestling is a key difference maker. Now, I don't know, he's easy to write off because of these losses to Gegard Mousasi and Aaron Jeffrey, but he was fighting at an extremely high level outside of the UFC against extremely talented middleweights. As a win over Fabian Edwards, the brother of Leon. And then you can see a dominant win, actually not even dominant, super quick knockout win in his 170-pound fight because he decided to drop. This fight is at 175, so less of a weight cut. Veretennikov, he lost his debut in a fairly close fight with Danny Barlow. Barlow broke his hand early, but still was able to get it done. Veretennikov did look very tough in that fight. Had a nice 3-fight win streak outside of the UFC over in the UFL where Frank Mir is doing commentary. And then before that, he had lost to Michael Morales by a decision. I feel like Vanderford can handle business. He's going to be the better wrestler between the two, a little more reliable. Veretennikov, I mean, the best accolades on his record are his losses as far as opposition level. Vanderford, he's been in there with high-level guys. There's Vanderford, a lot of ink, man. He got inked up crazy, man. He didn't have that much ink last time I saw him. I met Vanderford in person once, man. Chill guy. Veretennikov looks in decent shape, though. Veretennikov is tough. He's not going to be an easy fight. Vanderford's going to be tested. You got to worry a little bit about Vanderford's chin. He is going to be a bit shorter as well. You can see the face-off. It's interesting, right? Vanderford's the former middleweight, but you wouldn't really think so looking at them facing off at 175. Veretennikov, the bigger guy. It's crazy, Veretennikov and Vanderford, realistically, 34 and 35, both, very late signings to the UFC and, nearly 35-year-old prospects is not normally what Dana's looking for, but with Vanderford, they're bringing him in. He's an ex-Bellator fighter, an ex-Bellator title challenger. I think he can beat Veretennikov. To be honest, at one point, Vanderford was expected to be what Johnny Eblen became. The odds are even as they should be. Flip a coin for this fight as far as betting. Probably better to just stay on the sidelines and chill. But I do know there's people on both sides. People like Veretennikov's hands with the knockout ability here. Some like Vanderford with the wrestling threat. An in-shape Vanderford's an interesting addition to 170. A little late. I'm happy to see an ex-Bellator guy get a big chance like this. I like Vanderford. I'm a fan. Ultimately, neither guy is super high caliber at this point, so I'll say Vanderford can win, but it's not anywhere near a confident pick. Like, I'll go Vanderford. Over 1.5, minus 225 probably. Vanderford could win a decision, plus 210, maybe mixing in some takedowns. But Veretennikov does have good scrambling ability. And he can make it a dirty fight. It's going to be really interesting. What are these odds here? Let's see. Hold on. What's our spread looking at? Veretennikov with the spread. Minus 200. Makes sense. Okay. Plus 150 Vanderford. Okay. I don't know. I feel like over 1.5. I don't really like the betting side at all of this fight. I feel like I have a low confidence Vanderford pick. Like, I could see Veretennikov catching him. I understand why some people might be like, all right, well, he got chinned in the 2 of his last 3 fights. So you're going to go Veretennikov by KO. I mean, it is there at plus 230, but I just wouldn't play it. It's not something I'm interested in. So personal opinion, sit on the sidelines and watch this fight. I'm going to pick Vanderford to win the fight. If you're feeling one of the bets, I'm not telling you don't do it. You do your research, hopefully. I'm going to say Vanderford ekes it out on a close decision, but ultimately worry is these 2 knockout losses where his chin was shown to be quite vulnerable. But he could surprise. I don't know. Austin Van Zant, Vanderford to handle business over Nikolai Veretennikov. I think he does it. We'll go Vanderford, but low confidence call. And I'm going against an OV in this fight one. Bam. I think Vanderford could get him down. I think Vanderford ekes out 2 out of 3 rounds in a really close fight. Let's find out. Let's see who's in better shape. At 175, they both look good on the scale. Let's find out. Next fight on the card, Ricky Simón versus Javid Basharat. Now, I have been picking Javid Basharat throughout the week. Reason I'm picking him is I like his distance striking. I like his takedown defense and his precision, but also I like the momentum trending towards him as a prospect on the come up at 29 years old, really coming into his prime now, whereas Ricky Simón has lost 3 fights in a row. He looked uncharacteristically gun shy with Oliveira. Did look pretty good against Mario Batista over a year ago, but that's more of a wrestling-based style that he likes. Handled by Song Yadong. Last win was against Jack Shore, who's now retired, beat an older Sun Sao. I think Basharat has a chance to break into the top 15, so I'll say he wins. Distance striking, a little bit taller, not longer on paper, but should be better from the outside. Ricky Simón's a good scrapper and close with tough boxing in that red zone, which is close range. Does have a wrestling threat, but I would say the takedown defense of Javid Basharat should be pretty good. I'll say that he lands better shots from range and wins a close decision. I see it as a 29-28 decision. Competitive fight. Good back and forth moments for both. I see Basharat getting it done in the judges' scorecards in really competitive fashion. He should just be a little cleaner than Simón. I know it's easy to write him off. Oh, he hasn't won in 2 years and Mendoza's shit. He did give Mendoza his first loss, but, you know, the Ayman Zahabi fight, he lost by a very small margin. It was one big shot in the second round that ended up losing him the fight. And ultimately, when I think about Javid Basharat, I think, okay, potential. He was at Extreme Couture. Now he's working out at American Top Team down in South Florida. His brother is also decent. I'm going to say Javid Basharat shows improvements here, wins this one. I know that Simón is still only 32 and losing 3 straight is definitely a terrible look, but I just can't be confident in him winning against a talented prospect like Javid Basharat, who, say what you want about the Ayman Zahabi loss, I think still has a lot of hype and still has a lot of potential. And I think the ceiling is much higher. We know what we get with Ricky Simón, whereas Basharat might be, 10% better since his last fight, which was nearly a year ago. Did have an injury that pulled him out of the fight against Gutierrez over the summer. But regardless of that, I'm going to say Basharat comes back, looks a little better than last time, and wins a competitive fight against a longtime vet in Ricky Simón. This Javid, the bobblehead Basharat, I swear to you, bro, cover his body and look at his head. I'm looking at Roman Dolidze. He looks like a middleweight. Then when you look at his body, you're like, what the fuck? You're expecting a much smaller head. Freakish ratio of head size to body size. But I think that the extremely large head of Javid Basharat gives him a slight durability advantage over other bantamweights. He takes a better shot with that Neanderthal-like head. And then we got Ricky Super Saiyan Simón with the blonde hair. He's a fucking wild man. Ricky Simón's a wild man. He's an OG crazy guy of the game. Absolute scrapper. Fun guy to watch. You can see a little face-off pick between the two. Basharat, a little bit taller. I don't know. I think it's a factor here is that length. Striking from distance. I see him having success from the outside. I'll bring in a little more of a HD pick between the two that I have loading up behind the scenes here. We can look right there. Okay. Basharat, a little tall. Both guys smiling, excited to be there. I see a good fight between these two, a 29-28 fight. Both guys coming in relatively good shape. I feel like I'm going to go towards the momentum trending towards the prospect in Basharat as opposed to Ricky Simón, who, even though he's only 32, is a part now of essentially the old guard. So Basharat to break through the gate, and I think he wins a close decision. Competitive fight, but he'll win. A little cleaner. Odds for the fight of Basharat at -212. It's not a super appealing money line, but I do see him winning. +182 for Ricky Simón. When I look towards the bets here, over 2.5, it's an ugly line, but I'm very confident. Over 2.5 at -400. I expect them to go long. Basharat by decision, -130. And let's see. Spread on Simón, because I do think it could be 29-28. -150. Not a crazy play. Not crazy. Not crazy. Understand that it's not crazy because I could see it as relatively competitive. I could see Simón eking out a round and winning certain exchanges. I don't think Basharat knocks him out. I expect it as a fight that ends up going long. I'm saying decision win for Javid Basharat. Going to be interesting to see how Ricky Simón attempts to bounce back. And the spread maybe for Ricky Simón is what's calling your name. Not great odds at -150. Not as juicy as playing +184 on Simón. But I could see Basharat losing a round and then I don't know. Basharat, he'll win a decision probably. It's -214, though, for the money line. Not great odds. The over is chalky at -400, but I think it happens. Javid Basharat should win the fight. I'll pick him to snap back. Both guys coming off losses, but Simón, 3 losses in a row. Yes, he's fought good opposition, but 3 losses in a row. Basharat on the opposite side, 14-1, still a surging prospect. I think he goes to 15-1. I think he handles business with Simón in a competitive fight. I think Javid Basharat's still pretty good. Don't write him off just yet. I know a lot of people are. I don't think that you should. Next fight on the card, Nick Klein versus Mansur Abdul-Malik. I think this is actually a pretty clear mismatch. Nick Klein stepping in on short notice to fight the 1-0 in the UFC, Mansur Abdul-Malik. Both guys did fight on Contender Series. Mansur Abdul-Malik actually fucked up Nick Klein's training partner and teammate, Wes Schultz. Mansur Abdul-Malik ran through him. Granted, there was okay moments for Schultz, but it seemed like Malik had his number the whole time. Malik's not afraid to get dirty in fights and mix it up in a brawl, and he also has shown good resistance to wrestling with a wrestling base. Obviously, Nick Klein does have a pressure-based wrestling style, but I don't think he has as good wrestling, nor does he have as precise striking or as much power. You could say, oh, well, his jiu-jitsu looked nice here against Geraldo Souza and here. Like, he's got a lot of submissions. He's got good submission threat. Listen, he beat Colin Huckbody. That's relatively impressive. At one point, he was signed to the UFC. But ultimately, I think Mansur Abdul-Malik is going to be too much of a specimen. He's a great athlete. He has big knockout power in his hands. He's got that strong wrestling base. I think he can outwork Nick Klein and eventually finish him throughout this fight. I could see a tired Nick Klein getting ground and pounded in the late second round or even the third. Klein does have a loss where he broke in that fight and he gassed against Dorian. A long time ago, though. But his takedowns weren't working. They were ineffective. He kept getting those takedown stuff, and his opponent was just absolutely relentless. I can see a relentless Mansur Abdul-Malik getting the finish here. So I'm going to go with Abdul-Malik. Yes, he's a disgustingly wide favorite at, minus 1,100 range, but it is what it is. He should win the fight. But yeah, the odds are bad. I'm not telling you the odds are justified. A 1-0 UFC fighter with odds like that. Oh my gosh. It's the redneck Conor McGregor. Holy shit. Nick Klein, a.k.a. Nick McGregor. Redneck McGregor is the most real assessment of this guy. That's very close to a McGregor-style tattoo. The aura's there. Come on. That's Redneck McGregor. I respect Redneck McGregor, though. He does have a look of a guy that does well in the UFC. And Mansur Abdul-Malik, I will say, he didn't look great on the scale. My God. He didn't look great on the scale. I'll tell you something. I worry about these disgustingly wide odds in a fight of this level simply because you have a relatively unproven talent in Malik who has great knockout power and seemingly amazing potential, taking on a guy in Nick Klein who's definitely got heart. He's a gritty fighter. Not much of a size difference between the two. I'll say Malik is the more talented fighter. You can see a little HD look, a little second picture for you guys. I'm going to say Mansur Abdul-Malik does handle business, though. Okay, I do think he gets the knockout. I rate his power as superior to what you get with Nick Klein. I rate his wrestling as superior. Where Klein maybe has an edge is submission threat, but I don't even know if he can get it there. So I'm going to say Mansur Abdul-Malik is a hyper-elite athlete with a good skill set, pulls through and gets a nice win against the short notice replacement. But, if Nick Klein can survive a couple rounds, win a couple of exchanges, he can at least win the fans over. Let me take a sip. Sipping on a little Alani Cosmic Dust. This thing's great. A little grape flavor. Delicious. Plus 950 for Klein, minus 1,400 Mal. You can't even touch it at this point. That's ugly. What's Nick Klein by submission? Let's just be fucking degens. Who gives a fuck? Fuck the pick. We're going Klein sub. I'm not pick flipping. I'm joking. Holy shit, please. Klein by sub, shit, if you can get plus 1,400, you just degen sprinkle it, $10 on it when you're actually, maybe with Malik in a parlay or so, or maybe you're doing something I'd mentioned. It's kind of ugly though. Malik inside distance. I do think he's getting a finish, probably a ground and pound finish. I guess maybe you could go towards knockout. Malik by KO. You can't get much on it either. Minus 250 sucks. You can't do much here, guys. It is what it is. Extremely wide odds because there should be a gap in skill between these two and a gap in power. And I'm going to say Mansur Abdul-Malik is a relentless dog that doesn't break, and he finishes Nick Klein in a gritty back-and-forth fight. But I do think Klein shows a decent account for himself. I don't think he looks terrible, but ultimately I think he gets beaten up, man. Malik with more power, Malik with better wrestling, and I think Malik probably has a better gas tank too. So going with Mansur Abdul-Malik to finish Nick Klein, but yeah, the odds are horrible. Let's keep running. Next fight on the card, we got Andre Fili versus Melquizael Costa. I've been picking Andre Fili to outwork Costa in a competitive fight throughout the week. He is 34, but say Fili is still kind of primed. He's got a baby on the way. Melquizael Costa has good kicking skills, kind of a Brazilian-esque Muay Thai kickboxing style. Does have tricky and awkward Brazilian jiu-jitsu. Lost the first 2 rounds against Shailan Nordenbeke, which wasn't a great look, but then was able to get a comeback submission, so you have to respect his toughness. Got fucked up really bad by Steve Garcia, but it's Steve Garcia. Costa also normally fighting out of southpaw. He does have nasty kicks with the rear leg, good speed on those kicks as well. He's good at taking backs. He's good with submission threats. Now, Andre Fili is a relatively good boxer, kickboxer with a ton of MMA experience. He has been submitted 2 times, but it was a long time ago where we saw him submitted. He's gone distance for the majority of his run. Let's see. He got caught in a triangle by Godfredo Pepe back in 2015, almost a decade ago. And Max Holloway over a decade ago got him with a ghillie in round 3, the prospect version of Max Holloway. Melquizael Costa is younger. The upside's, favoring towards him. I haven't been super impressed with the asset of skills that he brings to the table, but he does have pretty good grappling and pretty good kicks. I think it's a close fight. I think Fili can win a competitive one on the scorecards, but 34 years old worries me a bit. I don't know with Fili, man. He's a hit or miss. It depends. When he's on, he looked nasty against Lucas Almeida. He was close with Cub Swanson, though, in a back and forth, but Swanson's a dangerous striker. Very different style with Costa here. I'm sure Fili has better hands than Costa. Say Costa has better jiu-jitsu, but I don't know if he has the wrestling to handle Andre Fili, who's been at Team Alpha Male for years. Let's check out the scales. Melquizael Costa. He looks like a crazy guy, bro. Look at his hair. Look at the purple. It's not about the skin. It's about the purple hair, man. He does have that skin condition like Scott Jorgensen back in the day. Andre Fili still looks pretty young at 34 years old. Let's get the face off. Let's look how they look face to face, nose to nose. This is the creepiest fucking face paint I've ever seen. Melquizael Costa looks like a, demon at this point with the Dalmatians paint. He looks a lot taller than Fili, but he's like bouncing up and down when we got the screenshot. I should probably find another one. I actually want to show you like a close-up of Melquizael Costa just looking like an absolute freak with this makeup. Like, this guy looks like a fucking serial killer. That is terrifying. The 101 Dalmatians look for him is absolutely horrifying. And that's rough to see. That's hard to watch, guys. Holy shit. That's a rough watch, man. You can see the face off, though, when he's not bouncing. Let me get it for you guys. Just so you know, I'm not lying. There really isn't a height difference. They're both about the exact same height. Melquizael Costa just looks like something from a fucking horror movie with that scary makeup. But I'll say Fili wins a close one. Dangerous betting side here. The odds are essentially even between the two. Fili is an ever so slight underdog. I'm seeing upwards of plus 100-ish. Costa around minus 120. I'm very curious to see how Costa's abilities at getting the fight to the mat are, and then how Andre Fili's takedown defense holds up. Let's see here. Fight goes distance or over 2.5, minus 185. Costa by submission, plus 900. How many sub wins does he have? Let me just see. 7 wins by sub, 7 by KO. It's not like Fili's getting subbed a lot, but maybe you're going to D-Gen Melky Costa sub. I think the over is probably live here. Could parlay that up and then hedge it with Costa by submission. Is Fili super live for a KO? KO plus 475, plus 5. I don't know. I feel less likely that Fili's getting a KO. I think Fili can land some clean shots, but Costa can eat them. I don't feel Fili has that much power. I know he destroyed Lucas Almeida, though, so I don't know. An on-point Andre Fili can probably outwork a Melquizael Costa in a competitive fight. I think he lands some better punches with the hands, strikes well from the outside. Melky Costa could be dangerous with his jiu-jitsu, but normally Andre Fili is pretty well-versed in all aspects of grappling defense. So I'm going to go Fili 29-28. I think he wins a competitive fight against Costa, but younger guy in Costa could have the upside trending potential. I'll go the ever so slight underdog, but just because I'm picking the dog isn't saying, oh yeah, just go out and throw your money at it just because it's a dog, you know? It's a 50-50 fight. I'll say that Fili can pull through if he can avoid getting his back taken and controlled by Costa. I think he can win the striking exchanges, be a little more accurate with the hands, and win a competitive back-and-forth fight. We'll go with the veteran, Andre Fili, who's been on the UFC roster for over a decade. Holy hell. Next fight on the card, we got our featured prelim of the night, Ion Cutelaba versus Ibo Aslan. I've been picking Ion Cutelaba to fraud check Ibo Aslan. I will consider myself an Ibo Aslan doubter. I am on the side of pure skeptic with Ibo Aslan. A lot of people I've talked throughout the week in the chat, they seem to believe that Ibo Aslan really's got the goods to mix it up at light heavyweight. I don't know. I see big punching power, but I see wild shots. I see technical flaws. I see a guy that leaves vulnerabilities when he mixes it up in the pocket and just starts swinging wild. Like, sure, he hits hard and he likes to keep a high pace, but he also doesn't have a great gas tank. Cutelaba has a decent tight striking style with some explosive power, has the wrestling in the back pocket. Definitely is a high-paced fighter, as is Aslan. If Cutelaba can eat some shots by Aslan, I think he can land some big counters, maybe time some key takedowns. I feel as though Cutelaba can get this one done on the scorecards, like an Aslan tired towards round 2. Maybe Cutelaba lands some key takedowns, little ground and pound, then controls round 3. It's really Aslan knockout or bust if you're on that side. I have a hard time fathoming him getting it done on a judge's scorecards with, pressure-based powerhouse like Cutelaba, who has been distanced before and has a lot of UFC fights. I think Cutelaba can get through this prospect. When I think of Ibo Aslan, I look at his wins, and they're low-caliber wins. Paul Hanato was not good. Turkali had a win over him, but also not good in the rematch. And Aslan got his eyes swelled in that fight pretty bad. Cerqueira, he ran through quickly, but Cerqueira is, I think, a fraud. And the Turkali fight, I also want to mention that Aslan was getting very tired towards the end of that fight. He was taking some real deep breaths, and he happened to land a perfect punch, which is great on him. But I'm just saying, I'd be a bit concerned about Ibo Aslan's gas tank in a matchup against a veteran like Cutelaba, who could time some key takedowns and control. I'm going to say Cutelaba wins a close fight. I'll pick him, but, Ibo still hits hard. He's a force to be reckoned with for sure. I realized I shrunk myself. I kept myself too small. My bad. Let me bring it up and let me bring it back down. Let's see. Aslan, I mean, he looks decent. It's the Ibo Aslan look. He's the fucking crazy guy, bro. The super deep voice. I will be best world. Tell you. Call the fight short. Everyone. I respect his fucking voice, bro. Anybody with a deep voice like that is like, all right, bro, you might be a fucking absolute savage, but I question his skills, man. And then we got Ion Cutelaba. No Hulk paint. Seems like he's matured a little bit. Looks absolutely fucking jacked. Holy shit. Now, what's interesting about Ibo Aslan, and you'll see in this face-off picture, something suspicious. Something suspicious. Ibo Aslan. Look at the titty on him. Do you see what I'm talking about? Look at the nipple, bro. He got some fucking gyno, dude. Ibo the gyno man Aslan? What the hell? That's sus, bro. He got that suspicious gyno a little bit, man. He got that gyno coming in. You can see even in the side. I got another picture of him, right? Oh, the pecs are big. Nah, but from the side, it looks like it could be gyno because there's no upper pec. We've seen that before, man. I don't know. Maybe he's got like a little imbalance of the hormones or something going on, but it also, sometimes is in guys that were taking pets. We saw it in his debut, though. It's nothing new. But maybe Aslan by mother's milk submission, using the titties to his advantage. Not a bad strategy. Not a bad strategy. This is going to be a crazy fight. Both of these guys are potentially psychopathic. And I'm going to say Cutelaba finds a way to win in a dogfight. But if he's stupid, he could get caught. Aslan hits hard. Cutelaba is an underdog at plus 160. If he fights smart, which with Cutelaba, hold your breath, he could win. Minus 178 for Aslan. I'll say Cutelaba live for a W here. Over 1.5 at minus 110 actually seems likely. I think they'd surprise you, but I actually think these guys can end up going distance at plus 275. Cutelaba on the cards, plus 500. I do think he's live to win a decision. Aslan by KO is minus 120. Ultimately, I do think if Aslan's to win, it's probably a KO. Cutelaba might have a wider range of, victory methods here. No distance for Aslan, minus 225. Okay. Okay. If you're going no distance, but then if it goes scorecard, you got no action. I think it's Cutelaba to find a way. He's got to time some key takedown. He can't fight like an idiot, though. If they did the proper tape study and he's choosing to be disciplined, listen, Cutelaba's grown up now. He's 31. He's not a kid anymore. If they sat down and said, okay, Iwan, this guy likes to bang in the pocket. You can bait him, okay, and try to set him up for a takedown as he's looking to bang in the pocket, then I think Cutelaba can have success here. He could land some counter shots too, but I think mixing in wrestling is a must for Iwan Cutelaba. So I'm going to pick Cutelaba to win the fight. Competitive fight. I do think he can get it on the cards and fraud check Aslan. I'm not an Aslan believer. If he gets through Ibo, we'll start talking. Or excuse me. If he gets through Ion, we'll start talking. As of right now, I have my doubts. Next fight, main card opener. If you guys are watching and enjoying, make sure you guys smash the like button. And if you're new to the channel, hit subscribe. Alonzo Menifield versus Julius Walker pre-weigh-in. I said Julius Walker can find a way. And let me tell you something. After the weigh-ins, my confidence has jumped. My confidence has jumped. Are you ready to see? All right, so Julius Walker, he looks like an average guy. Looks like a chill guy, right? Nothing crazy. 6'4", decent shape. Who the fuck is that? Alonzo Menifield does not look like himself. When I think of Alonzo Menifield, I think of more muscle, bro. Look at the traps and shoulders, okay? So always flexing there. No. Look. Doesn't have the same density. Doesn't have the same leanness. He looks like he's lost his touch. He looks like he lost a little bit of his physique. He's like shrunk a bit. I don't know what happened in the camp. I don't know if Menifield might be dealing with some type of injury. I don't know where his head is at right now with 2 straight knockout losses. You can see a little fat around his chest. Like normally he is not with any body fat. I'm not saying he's out of shape. Compared to a lot of light heavyweights, he looks sensational. But I'm more talking of the comparison of what once was versus what is now. I mean, there's another angle of Menifield where you see it even more. Like, look at him on the ceremonial scales. I want to bring this up. Look. Like, this is dad bod Menifield. It used to be shredded motherfucker Menifield. He used to look like a fucking chiseled freak. You can see the face off. Big height advantage. Look at right here, but then even look from here. Menifield, man, he's not in as good a shape as I've seen him. I don't know what's going on. This is a slightly out of shape Menifield versus a hungry guy at 6-0. Now, Walker's very tall. He's also very thin. He's not in, he's not like a monster build. Does have solid pressure grappling and good jiu-jitsu. It's going to be interesting to see how they match up. Menifield, of course, with the, puncher's chance, he hits harder than Walker. But I don't think the odds should look like this. I don't know where Menifield's motivations are at. 2 straight knockout losses, 37, but in the UFC a long time. He's fighting a hungry up-and-coming guy in Julius Walker, looking to make waves from the jump. I'm going to say Julius Walker can find a way to win. Over a round and a half, -115. What's Walker by sub? Because he does have submission skills, plus 900. How many sub wins for Walker? I know he does a lot of jiu-jitsu. 2 submission wins, 4 KOs, but the finishes by KO for him are normally on the ground. KO for Walker, plus 500. Inside distance for Walker, plus 275. I think Walker's a live underdog. I don't know, man. Menifield's iffy. Questionable fight IQ. Alonzo Menifield, and he's a chalky favorite like this at -240 with a questionable fight IQ, not looking in the best physical condition that I've ever seen him in. Julius Walker with a massive height and reach advantage in this fight. He's going to be 12 years younger, but he's also a 6-0 prospect. And I know he's, only 6 fights. He just started MMA. There's this delusion that he just started MMA. No, he didn't just start MMA, guys. You guys are being lied to, okay? Oh, well, he just started his MMA career 2 years ago. No. Look, he's been fighting amateurs since 2020, and I'm sure he trained for a while before he made an amateur fighting debut. He has been doing martial arts for a long while now, okay? And he has exactly 10 amateur fights, went 7-3, and now is a 6-0 pro. His biggest win is the Bevon Lewis win, who's an ex-UFC fighter. Myron Dennis was on Ultimate Fighter. Same with Niall Bartling. So he's taken out 2 guys that were, one was on the roster, and then 2 guys that were close to the UFC. Alonzo Menifield is not that good. I don't know where his head is at right now. I mean, he does have this nice win over Jacoby and subbed up Jimmy Crute, but he seemed to be in much better physical condition at those points. Today, I don't know where he's at. Not a good build for Menifield. He's no longer working with Pat Berry, which I guess maybe is a positive for his grappling because Berry's more so just a striking coach. Awful game plan against Carlos Ulberg. Got him KO'd in like 13 seconds. And then he got knocked out badly against Azamat Mirzakev. Gasses a bit. I mean, he still lost to William Knight a few years ago. I think Julius Walker can come from the regional scene and give Menifield work in the grappling. I'm going to say Julius Walker live to out-grapple Menifield. I'm going to pick him. I'll say he finds a way to win. I'm going to have faith in the prospect here. We're going with the prospect to start off the card with the win, man. Let's keep running. Next fight, Gene Silva, the one, the only Gene Silva, Melsik Baghdasaryan. Do I need to say anything about this fight? Really? I don't. Okay? I think Gene Silva is going to absolutely handle business. Melsik Baghdasaryan's a crafty kickboxer, and I will still give credit where it is due. But ultimately, he doesn't have immense power. His UFC wins are not overly impressive. I mean, you can look, right? Bruno Souza, 3 years ago, has a loss to Josh Cutelaba, which is aged like shit. Granted, he was winning the fight. Then he got caught in a weird grappling position and got subbed. And then Tucker Lutz, he ended up beating him, but he did lose the first round pretty handily. The grappling of Melsik is not great. He's known for the striking. Now, Gene Silva coming off of an absolutely epic back and forth with Drew Dober, where he was able to get the doctor's stoppage. That's a massive win. This becomes, on paper, a relatively large step down in competition. He is back at 145, so I guess they're trying to build that Gene Silva lore a little more patiently as opposed to, like, rushing him to somebody ranked. I mean, with the Steve Garcia-Edson Barboza fight getting canceled, I was hoping they put Gene Silva versus Steve together, but I see why they didn't do it. I think Gene Silva can land bigger shots, maybe even mix in some grappling. And I think he can beat the crafty technician of Melsik Baghdasaryan. Baghdasaryan is going to want to strike from long range and keep distance throughout majority of the fight. I think Silva will be relentless with forward pressure, with his power abilities. I think he can land some clean shots. And don't be shocked if he does choose to mix in a bit of grappling this fight. I think Gene Silva is going to take it home, but I don't think decision is a crazy call for this one. Let's look at the scales. Melsik looks in great shape. Credit where it's due. 33-year-old Savage. The guy is absolutely fucking jacked. Gene Silva also looks in fantastic shape, per usual. He's one of the craziest guys on the roster. I like the Gene Silva chaos factor. I like, I want him barking. I want barking Gene Silva getting in the head of Melsik. Now, what's weird is Melsik is listed as 2 inches taller. They look about the same height, if you ask me. I think Gene Silva can land some big punches in close, have more damaging moments. Silva could end up getting a knockout. I don't think that's a crazy call, but Melsik's crafty, and I could see him surviving till the final bell. But either way, I mean, Gene Silva has to be a confident pick. He's going to win the fight. He's a minus 450 favorite. Melsik is plus 350. Odds are actually a little better than they were earlier in the week. It was what, minus 600 at the most? Now minus 450. It's almost valuable. Becomes a parlay piece. But I do think Gene Silva is going to win. Method of victory, you don't need a chase. You can put him in a parlay, him and somebody from, the other picks. We'll talk at the end parlays, all right? Over a round and a half is not going to be a surprise at minus 180. I could see this being a very tactical fight with Gene Silva landing bigger shots, but still competitive moments. What's Silva by decision? It's not crazy to say Gene Silva gets it done in the cards, though, at plus 225. It'd be nice if he gets a knockout. It's plus 100 for that. But I think Gene could win a 30-27 decision and take Melsik the distance. Like, I think Melsik could survive. Baghdasaryan is still skillful, even though he's inconsistent with his activity rate. The pick is going to be Gene Silva. I mean, he's looked sensational. He's shown big power, but he got that decision over Vallejos almost a year and a half ago. And Vallejos is an awesome prospect, too. I'll say Gene Silva to win the fight. Decision or knockout here probably. Would be crazy if he ends up locking up a sub. It wouldn't be. I guess it wouldn't be that crazy. Let's see. How many subs for Silva? Top of my head, I don't know. Only 2 submission wins. Melsik submitted once. Let me check something. Now I want to see what the submission prop looks at. We're going a little longer on this one. Submission for Gene. Plus 650. It's a D-gen chase. Nah. Gene Silva to win. I'm saying Gene Silva takes it home. I think decision's live. Would love to see a knockout, though, but Melsik's got high-caliber kickboxing, and he's pretty durable, so Silva by decision won't surprise me, and I don't think that should drop his stock if he fucks up Melsik Baghdasaryan, who's a really clean striker in a striking fight. Gene Silva for the win. Let's keep going. Next fight, featured fight of the night. We got Rob Font versus Gene Matsumoto. I absolutely love this fight, and I was shocked that Gene Matsumoto was the favorite against Rob Font, and Font was a good-sized favorite against Dom Cruz. I'm picking Rob Font. I have been all week. I put him as the Savage Dog lock. I mean, I feel like he's my favorite underdog on the card. I see Rob Font's boxing as extremely elusive. He also can bring good pressure and heavy punch combinations. He hits hard. Nice jab. When he wants to throw that jab, he lands with fucking ferocity. And Gene Matsumoto, being more of a Brazilian-esque Muay Thai-based striker, he has nice kicking skills and good hooks, but he doesn't really have good straight punches. Rob Font has a blistering jab, which I think 1,000% is going to be a useful tool in this fight with Matsumoto. That jab could potentially break Matsumoto's nose, and then Font following it up with bigger combos. I think that Rob Font can handle Matsumoto in a hard fight. I think he can win a decision here. I think he can land some clean shots, maybe even hurt Matsumoto. I'm going to say Font wins. Now, when I look at Matsumoto's game, I see a 29-28 over Brad Katona, him getting busted up in round one. I don't think that's that impressive for what the hype has him listed as being 16-0. Beat Dan Argueta, was getting wrestled early, but then got the comeback sub. I mean, he's 25, though. Casey Tanner win on Contender was nice. 16-0, but I don't think he's ready for the Rob Font level. And I understand everybody is writing Rob Font off. It's like, holy shit. I mean, I guess more people on Tapology picking Font. I'm actually surprised at that. I feel like Rob Font's getting written off by the masses, though. I feel like a lot of people think Matsumoto is going to handle business here. I think Rob Font can work him with a nice jab. I think Font's still got a little bit of fight left in him. Now, there's a catchweight 140, which I think makes things interesting. Say Font on the scorecards, 29-28. Matsumoto wins some exchanges. Font gets better of him with the jab. Matsumoto's wrestling, not super effective in the fight. Font sticking him with big shots from range. He's coming off the nice win over Kyler Phillips, who was like a super hyped prospect at the time, as a win over Song Yadong, had just beaten Pedro Munoz. I think Font can handle a Matsumoto. I'm not sure that Matsumoto is ready for the top 15. Not at 25. I don't think so yet. Looking towards the scales. Let's check it out. There's Matsumoto. Bro, does Matsumoto not look 16 years old? He looks like the youngest guy on the roster. He looks younger than Raul Rosas. I don't know how he's 25. You got bald-headed Rob Font entering his true Unk era. Let's look at the face-off. Let's see how the face-off looks between these two. We got Gene Matsumoto channeling his inner George St. Pierre. We got Rob Font simply just rocking the bald head, different look for him. Could potentially help him escape out of guillotines if he's locked in anything. I feel like Rob Font can win this thing. I feel like he's getting overlooked. I'm surprised to see the odds like this. I know Matsumoto's a crafty up-and-comer, but I'm just not that impressed, man. I'm just not that impressed. I'm not ready to say Matsumoto handles Rob Font. I don't think so. Not yet. He needs more time to marinate at 25. I know Rob's 37, but I think he's still in his prime. Now, he is a good-sized dog, plus 145. At open, he was plus 130. Matsumoto, minus 170, the favorite. I think Font can win. Let's see here. Over 2.5, minus 300. Font by decision, plus 200. Let's see. Anything else catching my eye? Minus 200 for the Font spread. Not a bad idea. Even if you're against the pick, do you think he still ekes out a round? I think it's live, but minus 200 is, a shiesty call as opposed to plus 145. Everybody wants the dog money. I'll say Rob Font edges a 29-28, works a calculated jab. I think he's being overlooked a bit. I mean, look at the rate of opposition. Win over Kyler Phillips, lost to Figgy, lost to Sanhagen, win over Yanez, and a loss to Vera. All top caliber guys in his losses. Matsumoto has never fought that level. He's fighting LFA. He's fighting prospects. Brad Katona, Ultimate Fighter winner that could just never put it together in the UFC. I'm going to say Rob Font for the win. I think he handles Gene Matsumoto. In a competitive fight, Matsumoto shows his toughness, but at a disadvantage of range, I think he gets boxed up a bit. I don't think his wrestling is all that effective. I think Font could stop the takedowns. I'm going to say Rob Font takes a decision home over Gene Matsumoto and wins. We're going Font underdog savagery to pull through in the featured fight. Let's run it up to the next one. Co-main event. Brendan Allen, Anthony Hernandez 2. They run it back. And I've been picking Fluffy Hernandez all week, and he scared the hell out of us today. If you know what I'm talking about, you know. He was the last fighter to weigh in. Really just a couple minutes left before the scales were closing up shop. Ends up On weight, 186. Thankful. Seemed reinvigorated as soon as he made weight. But when he walked out there, he seemed nervous. He looked like he was walking out of a hospital bed. Brendan Allen looked good on the scale. We'll look at the scale in a moment. But I just want to talk about the fight. So all week I've been predicting that Hernandez could outdog a Brendan Allen. I think he has more power in the striking, though I think Brendan Allen has decent technical abilities. I see Hernandez as the heavier puncher, more unorthodox in striking as well. I see Hernandez with trickier jiu-jitsu, though Allen is a fundamentalist and does have sound abilities in grappling. I feel like Hernandez is better from bottom position and trickier to deal with, like with reversals and ability to scramble and get on top. More threatening with submissions. I don't know, more of a python, I guess you could say, than Brendan Allen. I'm going to say Anthony Hernandez wins a competitive decision in their rematch. He beat Brendan Allen over 5 rounds in their first fight and won the majority of the grappling positions. And I think he can do something similar here. Right now, Anthony Hernandez is absolutely on fire, whereas Brendan Allen on the other side, I mean, yeah, he lost to Imavov, which isn't a bad loss. He had Imavov down in round 1 and did nothing with it. I didn't like that at all. Fluffy Hernandez is much more of a killer from top position. He gets you down. He is looking to kill you. And I love Hernandez's hunt for the finish. Regardless of if it happens or not, Hernandez is a finisher. Allen can sometimes be a bit more of a round winner. And ultimately, you can say, oh, well, wouldn't that favor Allen? I think in the grappling position, Hernandez's relentlessness, even if he's taken down, can help him find top position with reversals. He's got faster transition speed than Allen, a little slipperier on the mat too. I'm going to say Hernandez wins a decision over Brendan Allen. I know the scales were a bit worrisome for all of us, but Hernandez did ultimately make weight. He's Fluffy Hernandez, looks about normal, a little bit fluffy. Looks kind of crazy there. Looks kind of like Tony Ferguson, like he's lost his damn mind in that. But let's out the confident scream. Hernandez is not winning the physique show. We got Blondie, Brendan Allen channeling something different, trying to go Super Saiyan on us. Still the same pose, but decided to bleach the hair bling, bling blonde for all of us. In pretty good shape per usual, as Brendan Allen always is. Let's look at the face-off between the two. Both guys of similar stature. Hernandez looks intense, man. This is man Hernandez. Allen already lost to boy Hernandez. Now he's fighting man Hernandez. Hernandez has aura. You can't lie. Come on, bro. Hernandez got the fucking aura. Badass haircut, intense face-off. I think Anthony Hernandez handles Brendan Allen in a close fight. I think it's a good matchup. I think it's similar to their first go, but I think Hernandez is going to be on the winning side for a second time. We're going Fluffy Hernandez to win the fight. As far as the odds, minus 330 for Fluffy Hernandez with Brendan Allen as a plus 270 dog. Really wide odds, which, you know, tempt you to play Brendan Allen. I think the odds could be a lot closer than this because skill set differential, though I favor Hernandez, is not as vast as a minus 330, but it is what it is. Over 2.5 minus 180. Do you want to chase that over? I don't know, man. Hernandez is a good finisher. I mean, if you look, Hernandez has what? Most of his wins, 11 of his 13 wins are finishes, with 8 of them by sub. Allen's jiu-jitsu normally is pretty good, to be fair, but Hernandez still, he's tricky with sub threats. Hernandez by sub, though, is only plus 350. If it was like a plus 1,000, I'd be like, yo, run it. Maybe a club and sub. I can see him catching Brendan Allen, but I see a close fight. I see competitive exchanges, over 2.5 minus 180. I think Hernandez wins a decision, 29-28. I think Allen could have good moments earlier in the fight, but then as the fight wears on, Hernandez starts finding more success. And I'm going to say that Anthony Hernandez handles Brendan Allen for a second time. Another one in relatively competitive fashion. I guess now we got to check. We got to check the spread, man. We got to check it. People ask me to check the spread. I'll do it just for you. Minus 115. Then Hernandez locks him in a fucking ghillie and you're kicking yourself. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to say Hernandez wins. I know it's a chalky line, minus 330. Not great value for the betting side, but at the end of the day, I'm here to tell you who's going to win the fight. Anthony Hernandez should win the fight, and I'm going to pick him. And I'm saying decision, maybe sub, maybe club and sub, but decision, the official pick. Let's run it up to our main event of the evening. If you guys are watching and you haven't, please smash that like button. And if you're new to the channel, welcome to the show. Hit that subscribe button too. We got Henry Cejudo versus Song Yadong to close out UFC Seattle. And it is the tale of 2 different career positions. You have Henry Cejudo at 38, coming off back-to-back losses. You have Song Yadong primed at 27, who's literally fought majority of the top guys in the world, coming off of a loss to Petr Yan, but a loss where he still had good moments early in the fight. My pick throughout the week has been Song Yadong. I'm going towards the youth factor here. Henry Cejudo has been there and done that, whereas Song is still chasing the gold that he's been unable to capture. And at 27, with as many fights as he got over what? This is going to be his 31st pro fight. He's got 10 more fights than Cejudo. I feel like Song is destined to just have it all click together. We've seen glimpses of it in the past. He's got big knockout ability, good counter shots with the hooks, very explosive fighter. Solid takedown defense, trains at Team Alpha Male. Has good explosiveness and reflexes too. Kind of like, I don't know, crafty with the takedown defense, with his striking. It's devastating, man. If he punches Cejudo in the face, I could see him rocking Henry Cejudo. Now, Cejudo, historically quite durable. I mean, obviously, he got handled by Mighty Mouse years ago with that knee to the body, but I don't know about Song catching with the knee to the body. That'd be kind of a crazy rinse and repeat if he knocked out Cejudo in round one. Cejudo's wrestling is very high caliber, but here is where my worries lie. He's 38 years old. He's smoking a lot of weed with Mike Tyson, So it's like, what point of his fighting career is he at? He's made the millions. He's done it. He's been a double champion. Song Yadong, he's been on the roster for a long time, and I'm sure he's had some financial success. He is chasing the gold that is just dangling in front of him. He wants a championship, and he's working towards it, whereas Cejudo can say that he's going on another run, but he's coming off of a loss to the current champ in Merab in a number one contender fight where he was handled, and prior to that, he lost a competitive one against Aljamain Sterling, but still ultimately a loss. And these fights, it's not like they were that recent. A year and 9 months ago against Aljamain, and then a year ago against Merab, taking time out of the game at 38. Already been there, done that, taking on a hungry and proven prospect / contender in Song Yadong. Hard to say he wins, man. Yadong, main event against Gutierrez win, Simón win. Obviously, the loss there to Petr Yan in a competitive 3-round fight. Dr. Stoppage with Sandhagen ultimately lost that fight. Sandhagen very crafty, and that was 2.5 years ago. Marlon Moraes knockout, big power on the side of Song Yadong. He's 27. He's 27, and look at the resume he's already garnered. I think Song Yadong can beat this version of Henry Cejudo. The 38-year-old Henry Cejudo, I don't want to say he's got one foot out the door, but he's thinking about retirement. This is my last run. When I hear that, it's like, this could be my last fight. If I lose, it's probably over. When you're already starting to think about that exit door, that's not somebody that I want to pick or even pick with confidence. You could say, oh, well, Song Yadong, he got taken down by, Sandhagen got taken down by Yan before. Historically, he does have relatively good takedown defense, and he can go a hard 5 rounds. And I think he could touch Cejudo with big shots, defend some takedowns. I feel like this could be one of those Song Yadong breakout performances here. Now, as far as the scales, okay, we got to check them out. Song Yadong looks, as usual, in very good shape. But I want to show you Cejudo in a second. Yeah, Song looks jacked. Cejudo looks okay. Cejudo looks okay. I don't feel like Henry Cejudo looks in as prime condition as he has in previous fights. And we'll also bring up the face-off where you're going to see the size differential. I mean, it looks like Cejudo's the little cousin of Song Yadong, just trying to get in his face and getting pissed off. Yadong with that size edge on him. I know Cejudo still wants to mix it up with the top guys in the world. And I know he still, relatively has ability, but I just feel like this could be just a nightmarish matchup. Like, Cejudo looks, I don't know, man. At the ceremonials, he looked better, right? With the good lighting, he looked better. He looked in decent shape. I don't want to absolutely lie to you guys and say, oh, he looked like shit. The abs were popping there, but when he was at that damn official weigh-in, I just thought he didn't look as pristine as we've seen in the past. And you can see Song with a bit of the size edge. It was an intense face-off between the two. I love the intensity of the face-off. This is going to be a damn good fight. I think Song Yadong finds clean counter shots, catches Henry Cejudo with some big ones, maybe wobbles him at some point, but Cejudo will not fall, or he may go down, but he'll not stay down. I think we're going a full 5 rounds, and I think Song Yadong is going to win. Now, the joke from Henry Cejudo of the event, it was actually funny. He had like this fucking fortune cookie that he broke in half. It was like a big stuffed fortune cookie, and I'll bring it up on screen. It's funny. And it had the fortune inside. Song's luck is running low, round 4 TKO. That's creative. I like Cejudo's antics at this point. He's a lot less cringy these days than he used to be. But damn, man, regardless of the cringe factor or the lack thereof, we need cringy Cejudo to win. That wasn't that cringy Cejudo. I don't see him winning. Song's odds are crazy. Why? Minus 250. It's like the books are trying to bait you, though, into betting Cejudo. It's like, hey, plus 225. Come on. This guy's a former champ. Look. He'll beat Song, right? He'll take him down. He's got Olympic wrestling. What are you worried about? The wrestling caliber in MMA. We've seen a lot of these guys not looking as good. He'll time some takedowns. He'll win some control. Come on, look at the odds. Look at the value on the line. Gianni the Greek voice. Look at the value on the line of Cejudo as the dog. I don't know about that. I think Song wins the fight. It's just not a joyous betting line. Oh man, I want to throw down a minus 250 for Song. Yeah, I want to bet Song. Come on, I get it. So betting wise, it makes you want to stay away. Over 3.5 minus 275, over 4.5 minus 25. Yes, probably. Fight probably ends up going distance. I see competitive moments for both. Cejudo most takedowns landed minus 600. They got some crazy ass props. At this point, it's like seeing what's out there. Song decision or KO minus 250. Spread on Cejudo plus 105. Interesting. Song could catch him with some big ones though. He's got knockout power. I wouldn't go chasing a knockout prop bet or anything like that. KO plus 900 for Cejudo. Song KO plus 205. Song decision, wherever that's at. Let's find it. Plus 130 for a Song decision. I think Song wins the fight, but he's going to eke out a win. So I could see some people being intrigued by the Cejudo spread because of his experience. Not a horrible idea if you're looking to do that. And you kind of like, well, I don't want to bet Cejudo's money line, but I still want a chance of getting it with him. Not a bad idea. I'm going to say Song on the judges' scorecards, 49-46, 48-47. I think that makes sense. That's the official prediction. Something like that. I think he wins more key moments. I think Cejudo lands a couple takedowns, but Song springs back up to his feet and then wins a lot of the striking exchanges. I just don't see Cejudo at 38 years old handling a primed, experienced, and hungry Song Yadong. So I'm going with Song to beat Henry Cejudo and probably the farewell fight in Seattle for Cejudo. I think he's going to end up losing. So Song Yadong to win. Those are my full card predictions after the weigh-ins for UFC Seattle. Now, we're not done yet. I want to look at the parlays, and I want to make sure these things still have validity. I want to make sure they're still alive. So, looking at this one, Ruziboev Basharat over 2.5, minus 130. I still like it. Malik inside distance. Fili Costa's over, and Silva is still very live. Ruziboev and Silva is a good one at minus 155. The odds are not great, but this is not odds hunting. This is just talking about what we got. The overs in both of those fights, Simón, Basharat, Fili Costa, I still like. The Spice one with Fluffy Hernandez in the mix, still live. You could mix in Gene Silva, though, if you're worried about Fluffy's gas. Fluffy's in a lot of them here. I know he didn't look great on the scale, but I do think he still wins. Silva, Malik inside distance, Ruziboev. To be honest, you could just run those three together. I should see what the odds look like there. You got a plus 420 if you're going for that DGen call. But I want to look on the spot. So Ruziboev on the spot right now, we're adding him in with Gene Silva, minus 149, actually better than you see at minus 155 on screen. But I also want to then look at the Simón Basharat over 2.5. If you load those three together, you got plus 115. I'm actually liking this one a lot. I'll probably show you guys this if you want to screenshot that one right there. I kind of like the look of this one as a little bit of like, maybe a safety play if you want to go against what I said earlier in the week. At the end of the day, we got the template parlays here, and we're finalizing what we really want to run with. I like this 3-leg post weigh-in, though, that I just dropped. I do. Let me see what's under here. So, Malik inside distance, Fluffy, Ruziboev, Basharat, Simón over, and Fili Costa. So that's a lot on that one. You could still run it with a Malik inside distance, and we could just 4-leg it here. Malik inside distance, minus 450, plus 162. Do I really want to chase it for barely any more money, though? I would rather just play Ruziboev Silva over 2.5 But Malik also could be added in. Plus 134 for the money line. Just not great odds. You look at the D-Gen call. Font, Hernandez, Silva, Ruziboev, Abdul-Malik, Basharat, Fili over. Both the overs there. Plus 1,000. You're going for savage D-Gen calls. You're going for D-Gen savagery, of course. I'm trying to see, though. Do I want to cook up something different? I want to cook up a little different. I got the doggy D-Gen with Fili at the bottom. But what if we don't do Fili, though? What if we do an alternate? Because Julius Walker looked good. Julius Walker, Iwan Cutelaba, and Rob Font plus 1775. You're actually getting more plus money than the initial doggy D-Gen call. Not horrible right there. And if you want to take it to a delusional level, over 2.5 there, plus 2,310. Gene Silva on your slate, plus 2,807. I like this one. There's a ring of a bell on this one. Yeah, I know you're feeling it. Ruziboev too, plus 3,000. Now we're going straight degeneracy. Now, if you don't want to play Rob Font, maybe for some reason you don't like Font, or even, listen, if you don't even want to play Cutelaba, you're still getting plus 555 if you throw one dog in there with Julius Walker, who I think is live to win against a relatively out-of-shape Menifield. But then when you take it off, we're just back to the goods. We're back to the OG. It's really building on this. Gene Silva, Ruziboev, I like a lot. I still like Fluffy. He just had a rough weigh-in, so I'm not telling you to fucking delete your bets with him. I think you can still leave him in. I still think these are all valid. I think they're all valid, okay? I do. Nobody was horrible looking on the scale. But, you know, sometimes I just like to expand our horizons a bit. But some parlay ideas for you. I'm not telling you tail these. Please, if you're betting, do your own research. Okay? You don't want to just blindly bet. See where we link up with your research too. You got less than 24 hours, but you can definitely get a good tape study all night, bro. Listen, bro, start now, study for the rest of the night. If you're blindly tailing, I wish you luck. The D-Gen calls a D-Gen, but I like the Ruziboev Silva. I like Silva in the over in the Basharat fight with Ruziboev. I like even, you could go Hernandez in the mix if you wanted. I think these guys win. I'm trying to look throughout the slate. Obviously, Rob Font, underdog pick. Cutelaba, underdog pick. The over in the Basharat fight is money, though. I'm telling you. I'd be shocked that fight ends inside distance. Yeah, I like the calls. I like where my head is at. I'm liking how things are looking. I like the safety play a lot. Ruziboev Silva and then the over in the Basharat fight. I think that's a money one. Money little 3-leg safety play. Those overs look good. And if you want to go that, you know, savage prop play with Silva by decision, Basharat over, and Fili over, that could cash too at plus 545. Be careful with your bets. Bet intelligently, okay? Only bet where you're willing to lose, okay? I don't want any of you guys going homeless from this shit. I wish you guys well. Much love to the people. I hope you guys enjoyed the breakdown. Make sure you guys smash the like button. And if you're new to the channel, welcome to the show. Hit subscribe. Turn the post notifications on. Daily content, daily live streams. Keep it locked in on the channel. Covering MMA every single day to the highest level in the game. So keep it locked in. And let me know in the comments what you thought of the picks. Do you guys have any pick flips? I'm curious. Any pick flips, let me know in the comments. And definitely drop some of your favorite picks down below. I want to hear from you guys. And if you have nothing to say in the comments, but you just want to support me, boost the algorithm for your boy, drop a W in the chat. Thanks for watching, everybody. I'll see you all in the next one. Peace out.